hate this little thing that jumps in front of my comments. Hello. Good Tuesday morning, folks. Let's see. I know a lot of people are busy. Well, a lot of people are just getting back to work today. And then you got the Karen Reed trial going on, and it's a retrial. I haven't followed the second trial very much, only because, hey, Crystal Langford. Hey, K Bear's mama. Um, oh, shoot, I just popped. Why did I do that? What happened? Hey, Bluebird. Haven't followed the second trial much because after watching what I saw the first trial, what I've peeked in on the second trial, I'm not seeing anything new. What I'm seeing is the state being made a bigger embarrassment. Hello, watcher. Um, I guess I need to put some kind of intro on here. So, hello, my darling. Hello, my. I don't even know that song. I better think of something else. Hello, Moonchild Pink. Sunnyside, Bolo. So, like I said, and you got the Diddy trial going on. Um, I, so I mean, views on YouTube are just down. Right, K Bears. I'm not going to sit through it a second time when they couldn't convince me of her guilt the first time. So, hello, two skulls, one swing. The Kardashians. That's what you've been watching, Bluebird. But I hope everybody had a good, decent weekend. We had I went out to my sister's and we sat by the fire and had a few beers and laughed, and a couple people fell down. I did not. Um, then it started raining the next day. So hello, go getter, Rolos. And the dogs start barking. They have not barked all morning. But let's bark now. Yeah, K Bears, we're going to get on that. I'm going to touch a little bit on our community a little bit. Well, I don't know if it's our community, but I don't know. I did notice that Carla was going live again. And I peeked in over there, and the Holy Messiah Republican Ash is a wrench. And how many live streams did we get telling us we were going to hell because gossiping and drama? God don't like that. And she's over there with a wrench all up in the gossip and the drama. I found that comical. Hey, Puss in Boots, I saw where you jumped in the other night or whatever. So I peeked in on Carla. And then earlier in the weekend, I'm just going to get this out of the way. Okay, there's some girls that left Laura's Patreon. Okay. This last round of people leaving Laura's Patreon. I don't care. I don't have anything against these girls, but a video was put out, a rolling video of chats from back in like 2018, I don't know. I think I left Laura and you think Jesus likes tea? I think God has a sense of humor. He would have to. Um, but there was a video put out and it was private chats. And although there was nothing in it, I don't go real life. There's nothing, you're not going to see anything in there that I did that was bad other than talk shit. But I think what really hit a chord with me was about that. I got a phone call. Um, I don't know what the dogs are barking at. You know, probably the mean old mailman. Um, so I was so this video was put out. You know, I mean, it's them against Laura. I don't care. I don't watch Laura. I don't follow Laura. I don't go to their chats. I'm not in the middle of it. I'm out. I'm gone. But it really bothered me to see like people in there that is no longer around, like serendipity. You know, she's not, if something was to be shown in those chats, even if it was just shit talking, she's not here anymore to defend herself. So I got a little pissy about it. Um, the next thing I know, somebody messaged me and says, "Hey, Laura's live." No, Laura texted me and said, "What the fuck? Red Dragon just messaged me screaming, blah, blah, blah." I said, "I don't want a part of none of this." And then Laura went live and said I was in some group with Tyra Boo and all this shit. I'm not. I'm not. I said from jump, when it comes to that CPS call, it was wrong. It was wrong. It was wrong. There's no way around the fact that it was wrong. But some of these girls, not all, knew about that call when it happened and did nothing. So if you wanted to do the right thing would have been done right then and there. Not wait until a year, 3 years down the road when you're mad at Laura. I'm sorry, that's how I feel about it. But whatever, it is what it is. I don't want to be a part of it. So that's why you might have caught a few minutes of me up on Laura's panel the other night. Well, Sunnyside, all I can tell you is Laura's never doxed me. Um, you know, I'm sure I wasn't in all the private chats when I was a part of her group, but I think I was in most of them and I never saw any. Yeah, was there shit talking? Yeah. But if we remember correctly, when the first chats got released, that caused, thanks, Diane, for sponsoring that caused so much pain and heartache. And people are just not around to defend that stuff anymore. I mean, we've lost Clary, God rest her soul. We've lost Sarah and Dips, God rest her soul. People have, somebody hit me up on PayPal. I'm not going to say her name, but she was in those groups. And if you're listening, you don't owe me an explanation. I got no problem with you. I got no problem with none of those girls. They're just at a different level than I am in the whole Laura saga. You know, I walked away from Laura. I showed one private message, and it was to prove that I did not know anything about Laura going live or doing a video or whatever she did in the middle of the night saying my cancer was back. Boom, that was it. But I'm not mad at anybody. I don't have any problem with any of these women. None of them. I agree. It's all in the past. Um, I'm just not a part of it. I'm not, guys. I'm getting older, and I don't know how many breaths I have left, but I'm not wasting them on Laura or anybody else day in and day out of my life. Come on, Mags. Come on, girl. So, hey, critters. So that was that little bit of drama. It wasn't much. It was just a little bit. It's all cool. Like I said, I got no problem with those girls. I'm just not in on it. So, yeah, right. Um, a day over 29. Uh, that's funny, but thank you. I love a good sense of humor. So there's that. Check in on Carla. Saw where like I said, the Holy Messiah Republican ash is a wrench. Thought that was kind of comical. Um, then of course, I always have to check up on the whole Queen Bee stuff. And I'm so sick of her riding this, her kids were doxxed. No, they weren't. She called Jones's minor kid a fuckstick and said it could have been worse. She could have called him a little bastard. This, that, this, and that, because her kids were doxxed. No, they weren't. Stop running on that. Your kids were not doxxed. And all the thousands of people that sit in that chat, tell her kids were not doxxed. Joneson, for whatever reason, I would have never done it, FOIA'd an alleged call that beat. Okay, Laura. Okay, I'm just saying I'm not involved. Okay, that's all there is to it. I'm just not involved. I don't sit at I don't sit at anybody's table. I am truly just like, I just don't do it anymore. I don't have fun doing that anymore. But so let's go back to where Queen Bee swears her kids were doxxed. Okay. Queen Brittany J kids allegedly uploaded a video of her kid bare butt twerking, spreading his cheeks, whatever. Don't know, didn't see the video, don't know. Somebody by the name of Cotton Candy, Rotten Candy, something Candy grabbed the video. She showed it. Queen Bee went on her panel. It's clipped. Queen Bee, when she said, I'll send it to you, Queen Bee said, okay. Queen Bee denies all of this. It's all been clipped. And then later on, Queen Bee tries to use it against Brittany J. She swears she didn't, but it's also clipped. So then Joneson, in order, because Queen Bee said she notified the police over this video. So, yes, Bolo, yes. So Joneson, for whatever reason, decided to FOIA Queen Bee's police department for a call that Queen Bee allegedly made concerning this video. Well, it just so happens that there was no proof of any call made, but something about Queen Bee in that time frame came up. And it happened to be Queen Bee fighting with a neighbor lady or something over something their kids did. Nobody cares. Your kids weren't doxxed. Their names were never put out there. Would I have FOIA'd it to prove you a liar? No. No, I wouldn't. But Joneson did. But you can't keep hiding behind that, Queen Bee. You can't quit hiding behind something that didn't happen. It just didn't happen. So that does not give you the right to go up on a panel and call minors names. I know some of the people that sit in Queen Bee's chat, and I'm okay with them. I don't care where they go. I don't care who they support. Why do they sit and agree with this when they know for a fact it's not true? No kids were doxxed. You cannot FOIA a minor. It just so happens that Joneson was FOIAing to get one thing, and the police department sent what they had, and it happened to be some kind of dispute between Queen Bee and another woman. Pretty freaking simple. So, for the love of God, Queen Bee, quit hiding behind my kids were doxxed. Fuck that bitch. My kids were doxxed. Fuck it. Her little fuck stick kid. No. People say, what about what Center's doing? I don't watch Center, but I didn't see Center dox her kids either. If he did, I don't want the docs. But if he did, can somebody point me where I can go watch it? I mean, I don't really care what Queen Bee's kids' names are. Who would? Jones is not a predator. No. And see, center, to me, center is matching energy and going above and beyond that energy. That, to me, that's what I see. I don't sit in center's chats. I've been in there a couple of times. I don't like where it goes. I don't like what Queen Bee says about him. I don't like what he says about Queen Bee. It's just off the charts in every direction. Hey, sweet sativa. But the truth is the truth, and it's not that hard to say. And the truth is, your kids were never doxxed. Not by Joneson, not by Center, not by anybody. So if you want to be a dick and you want to say dickhead things, don't hide behind your kids were doxxed when they were not, in fact, doxxed. That's pretty much all I got to say about that. The fact that you chose to call a minor names shows what a petty bitch you are, Queen Bee. That's what that shows. Because you're not doing it in the name of my kids were doxxed. My kid, you have shown no proof that your kids are being stalked by anybody, by Joneson, by Center, by anybody. Yes, sweet sativa, stop it. If you want to go at people and call them names and stuff, have at you at YouTube. But don't hide behind something that just didn't happen. And then to say worse and gross things and try to say, well, I said it because my kids were doxxed, my kids are being stalked. No, they're not. That's a lie in the conversation. So then I see where this fundraiser thing went on for missing and exploited children. Great, great organization. Hey, Texas girl. Hey, Nunya. Or the good Nunya. So I see where this fundraiser is done. Okay. And I see where Queen Bee's raised several thousand. Nonsense raised several thousand. I think the total came up to almost 20,000. And the proceeds went to missing and exploited children. I think that's a fantastic idea. But the first thing that came to my mind, and maybe I'm wrong, was wait a minute. So your supporters who sit in your chat daily that support you ripping these victims' families apart decided to give their money to an organization that helps missing and exploited kids. Did they sleep better that night? I think it was YouTube, those YouTube fundraisers you can do, like Molly did for St. Jude, which she gets accused of it being space camp. No, it wasn't. It was still St. Jude. It was just under a project St. Jude was doing. Still went to benefit the kids. So that's the first thing that came to my mind. I thought, well, that's great. Y'all raised money, for a fantastic organization. But it's the same people that donated that also sit in your chats daily and donate to you while you sit on your panel and rip the victims of missing and exploited children apart. So did you sleep better that night? Hello, Clip Punk, Scotty's Bluebell. I'm just wondering, did you sleep? All you people that donated to that, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but did you sleep a little easier that night? Because every other day of the week, you're sitting in those chats donating to creators who rip missing and exploited children's families apart. So I don't know. I think you've done more than $20,000 worth of damage between you. So That's just my opinion. But if it makes you all feel better to say, we raised $20,000 for missing and exploited children so we can continue to sit on our panels and drag the filth out of missing and exploited children and their families, whatever. Bravo. Bravo. Whatever. I mean, thank you for the 20,000. Maybe when you spend another 6 months or there's another sadly missing and exploiting child and you all rip into that case and make a total mockery out of it, maybe you can raise another 20 grand and ease your little minds. I don't know. But thank you. I'm sure the foundation. Right. You can put lipstick on a pig, it's still a freaking pig. Speaking of pigs, I got to move over to the LCU. Now, if you guys don't watch it, it's the LowCal universe. It's headed up by Keemstar, which has quite the reputation on here, has for years. Has for years. But let's move on over to the LCU because I've gotten wrapped up into that. Because I got to be honest with you, I was in the casino business for 20 plus years. And my job was to entertain people. Okay. I was on cameras. I was, my job was to, if you've ever been to a casino and you've played the tables, whether it be blackjack or poker or craps or roulette or whatever, your dealer is there to entertain you. Okay. While most of the time they're taking your money. Well, that's kind of what LowCal Universe is. Okay. The LCU. They're there to entertain you while taking your money. Somebody get that. Put some boots, get that. You're disgusting. Um, but they're there to entertain you while taking your money. Okay. And that's how they make that's their paychecks. So Keemstar started a show, LowCal Live. And it was originally Keemstar, Boogie, Tommy C, and Wings of Redemption. Great show. I used to watch it all the time. Tommy C left. Wings, they Wings got into a scuffle at Fat Camp, which Fat Camp everybody lost their mind. But Wings got into a scuffle at Fat Camp, and in the process, his wife hit a table. Boom, boom, boom. They made thousands. Um, I don't want to click on it because I don't want it to show up on my screen. If anybody sees the smoking Molly Collie, get rid of it, please. Hello, Cosmic. Thank you, Sunnyside. Um, so Keemstar gets this idea. He wants to have a show running 24/7. Hey, Lolo. And so he has these spin-off shows of, okay, his number 2 show is called LowCal Queens. Okay. And it consists of Tina D, the angry neighbor of Grandpa, the angry grandpa, AGP, and Becky Boop. Okay. And then from there, he spun off with Rewind, which is Billy the Fridge, and Xylee Gets Real. Nothing real about her. Okay. I'm just going to put it that way. Um, Me neither, K Bears. So he's got all these spin-off shows. A handful of them are doing okay. 3 of them do really well. And then but it doesn't matter. It's not costing Keemstar a thing. For the shows that aren't doing bad, he gets a piece of every show money raised. But the ones that are doing bad are not, they're not costing a thing. So you got Becky Boop, okay? Now, Becky Boop is probably, whether you like her or you hate her, she's probably the most entertaining person, minus Keemstar. And Keemstar just has a knack. He knows how to entertain people. Whether you like him or not, he knows how to entertain people. Laura, I don't know what's going on here, but I'm not talking about that. I'm done, moved on to the LCU. But Becky Boop is probably his highest talent. She is a threat to most of his hosts. Actually, all of his hosts, minus Boogie. I mean, you got to remember, Boogie became famous for faking cancer. That's his claim to fame. We've had a few of those in our community, haven't we? So they have made light of domestic violence, made tens of thousands of dollars off of that with the whole wings thing. SA. There's a guy in the community. He has a horrible show. It's called Cafe. He sucks. His name is Ken, and he's ex-military. Well, he's been up in Becky's ass for months, just going at her. Going at her. So she claps back. Did she do it right? Maybe not. But because he's a veteran, everybody turned to this Becky hates veteran arcs, which of course goes on Drama Alert, which goes viral. And she didn't attack veterans. Billy is entertaining, but Zally's like holding him back. So, but she didn't attack veterans. She attacked Ken, who happened to be a veteran, and she spoke on his military career. I guess if somebody's coming at my neck constantly, I'm supposed to stop and say, wait a minute, I'm getting ready to snap on you, but are you a veteran first? Because he hides behind that. He swears he never spoke on Becky's situation. Yes, you did, Ken. And I am so glad Huge Jazz spoke up today and told Ken, yes, you did. Now, am I going to sit through all those boring ass streams and find where Ken spoke on Becky's alleged situation? No, I'm not. I can't sit through it live, much less go back and sit through them from months ago. But I am so glad Huge Jazz spoke up today, because I think that person is active in their Discord. I don't know. I'm not in that Discord. It would not be good for me to be in that Discord. Like I said last week, Becky made a comment to a black woman. It doesn't matter what the black woman, she's a beautiful black woman. She's just starting out. She has zero talent, but whatever. Good luck to you, pup. Becky made a comment to Pup, and Pup said something even more racist, but I guess it was just easier to say Becky's a racist. Yes, Bolo. Huge came in and said to Ken, you did speak on it. Of course, and K Bear's mama said something, and Ken just swept it. So, what's really funny is he couldn't break 250 viewers a day until he started talking about Becky. And then he got almost 400. Couldn't reach his goal, though. His goal was 20 donations for him to eat an old dried up steak with condiments on it. Yeah, that's entertaining, Ken. That's that's fun as hell to watch. I can't remember the last time I sat and thought, damn, I'd like to see a man eat a well done steak with all kinds of condiments on it. Get the fuck out of here. So Keem started the Becky's racist thing. You can't just in a universe that big with that many people, you can't do that. I mean, Keem sent 4,000 people over to Becky's chat one night to call her a racist. Exactly, K Bears. How do you rub SA in a woman's face since February and not expect a bite back? And I'm not saying Becky's perfect. She says some stupid shit. And when she gets loaded, I just click out. I can't watch it. Between her drinking and screaming and Tina running to tell on her for everything she does, it's like, all right, click, change the channel. I'm done. She gone, as they all say. So, I mean, Becky is obviously a big talent in that universe, and Keem knows it. Keem is not stupid. I know. Tina tells her to drink. Then, when she drinks, she runs and tells on her. Tina went into one of those weekend chats that was collecting money off the backs of veterans and Becky and said, Becky hates veterans. If I was Becky, I wouldn't want to sit next to Tina. Sorry, I ain't sitting next to you, Tina. If you ain't got my back no more than that you want to join in on the train that's trying to take your channel down, well, that tells you how smart you are, Tina. So they just push Becky, they push her, they start all this shit. She says stupid things, they clip it out of context. It makes it to drama alert. Keem's got a burr in his ass because Becky won't admit that she needs his redirect when they've proven time and time again they don't need his redirect. I mean, and Keem's pissed off about that. Instead of just saying, man, they still hold their own, even when I don't send my crowd over to their chat, they still hold their own. But Becky just won't kiss Keem's ass on this. Well, Keem makes people go off their meds. He did that to Wings. Hey, Sarah. Because Keem doesn't believe in mental health meds. So they spent the whole weekend milking money off the backs of veterans. Everybody running in telling Ken, thank you for his service. They're sorry what Becky said. Okay, I thanked him for his service. But here's what people forget. Memorial Day, I don't either, the good Nunya. I don't either. Memorial Day is to honor those who have fallen. Veterans Day is to honor all vets in all standing, current and past. Hello, Junebug. So, for this to all get turned into Becky hates veterans, when in reality, she hates Ken, who happens to be a veteran. They spend the entire weekend, every single show, except for Queens, milking money off the backs of veterans when the actual holiday, Memorial Day, is set aside for the those who have fallen, who did not come home, who made the ultimate sacrifice. Not just serving, although serving is a hell of a sacrifice. Your family makes sacrifices, you make sacrifices, but this holiday is meant for those who did not make it home. And to make it into content, to make money, to hate Becky, and to promote your dying shows, you're all sick bastards. Becky's not lying about her friend. You can actually Google that man and know that it's true. Becky has spoke on this man before, very lightly. Again, is Becky perfect? No. Becky is the real, true LowCal. She's the only real LowCal in that community. So, what do you expect? Well, I know, Junebug. I see you over there. But the people that you're a fan of, to me, are fake as fuck. Like Xylee. Let's get to Xylee. So, twice now, the man that Keem thought was a good idea to put as a manager of the shows, because it's becoming summertime. Keem wants some time away. Can't blame the man for that. Twice now, Rastoff, who hates Becky, will do anything to destroy Becky, Queens, whatever. He hates her. He has shut their show down, not just this weekend. You know who Rastoff would never have the balls to shut down? Rewind. You know who drank last night after his rule and not for pay pigs? Billy. You know what Billy said? Stick your rule in your ass, Rastoff. So now you got Xylee, which I'm sorry, perpetuated this shit with Savage. Once again, I should not have to say this every time I go live. I do not like Savage. But what was done to Savage was wrong. Okay? That's it. It was wrong. It was made into content. Never should have been. But how did that shit with Savage get started? Let me tell you how it got started. Rastoff had Twiggy up on panel, and Rastoff says to Twiggy, got any good, juicy fat camp secrets? Now, of course, little things had been getting leaked all along the way. Savage leaked some, Tina leaked some. Becky really couldn't leak any because she was only there for a day before she got kicked out. Thank God. Imagine if she was there the whole time. But it was Rastoff who asked Twiggy to, got any good Discord juicy? Now, here's Rastoff. He's supposed to be a manager. He's supposed to be the one that shuts this shit down, but instead encourages it. And then he hides his hands. So Twiggy spills all this shit from Fat Camp. Savage was given naked, not naked, but, freestyling lap dances, blah, 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 blah. This one was humping this one. This one was doing that one, blah, blah, blah. So then the other night, Wonder Woman is, now here's Wonder Woman. She don't cause trouble for nobody. Do I think she's talented? No. Do I find her in the least little bit entertaining? No. But she seems to be a fairly nice woman. So here she is. She goes, I got some juicy secrets from Fat Camp. Now you would think at this point Rastoff would be like, oh hell no. The last time this happened, all hell broke loose. Savage ended up losing her job. Horrible things were said about her. Let's not go there. Oh no. Rastoff in Rastoff fashion, wants to hear about the juicy fat camp secrets. So, Wonder Woman proceeds to tell one about Becky. Rastoff's like, ooh, that's a good one. Why? Because it's about Becky. No proof to back up what she's saying. Nothing. Ooh, that's a good one. What else you got? Dude, here's a shovel, Rastoff. Okay? Just go ahead and bury your fucking ass. So then she talks about an uncomfortable, that was the word she used, situation she was put in at Fat Camp. Do I think Wonder Woman should have done that on a live stream? No, 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 not the place. Right, Bolo. But Rastoff and this new dude, Steak, no talent whatsoever. I don't know where Keem is getting these people. He's just dragging fucking incels out of his Discord to put on shows because he wants to run 24/7. Whatever, Keem, good luck with that. But so Wonder Woman says, when I was at Fat Camp, I was taken into a bathroom and put in an uncomfortable situation. Now, at this point, instead of Rastoff shutting it down and saying, because she done gave a good juicy tidbit about Becky. Ooh, that's a good one. But at this point, Rastoff should have said, Wonder Woman, I don't know if we should talk about this on a live stream. Maybe we'll talk about this in Discord if you need to talk about it. But no, no, no. She goes on to say that her and somebody at Fat Camp, a female, no, Zally does not like women at all. Sadly, Zally is really, really holding Boogie back, or not Boogie, but Billy back. And for the few minutes I watched it last night, Zally was in her defense position, arms crossed, sitting back. Whatever, Billy. Whatever, Billy. Because Billy's like the kind of person who likes to humor his way through a good or a bad situation. He doesn't take anything really that serious, and if it is serious, he tries to lighten it up with humor. Xylee does not have a humorous bone in her body. Oh yeah, they were going live at the same time as Queens to try to take away viewership, donations, and everything from Queens. That is Becky and Tina's bread and butter. That is their money. No one has a right to mess with that. No one. No one has a right to mess with Rastoff's money, and no one has a right to mess with Becky and Tina's money. But they do it all the time. So Wonder Woman tells this story. She's brought into a bathroom to take pictures with this girl. She's a female, whatever. She began to feel really uncomfortable when the female tried to convince her to take her clothes off and do naked pictures. And so then then Xylee pops up. Now, Wonder Woman at no point has used the word sexual harassment or sexual assault. She said uncomfortable. Uncomfortable. That's what she said. She got away from it. All is good in LowCal land. Xylee pops up and starts going in on Wonder Woman. Just Xylee's the one that used the word sexual harassment or sexual assault. It was Xylee who put that tag on it. I agree, Junebug, but you can tell what's scripted and what's not. Check my community post. You'll see what's scripted. Long before it plays out. So then everybody turns on Wonder Woman because channels are popping up saying it was Keem's girlfriend Brantley. You know, and Wonder Woman never said it was Brantley. She never said it wasn't Brantley. She just never said it was Brantley. Hey, Miss Fletcher. Um, so these clip channels, of course they're going to say it's Brantley. These are hate channels against Keemstar. But nobody cares how many strays, because you know who Rastoff throws out? He throws Zeta Ray's name out there. Was it Zeta Ray? Rastoff says he was reading the chat. Why would you read that out loud? Why did Zeta Ray have to catch a stray like that? And where do any of you all have the right to tell Wonder Woman how to feel about any situation? Of course, Xylee and Rastoff are best friends. I said when they were replacing they were replacing Wings on LowCal Live, give it to Billy and put Rastoff with Xylee. That would have been the best move. Boogie could have still been Keem's lapdog because Billy's not going to. Well, he would to a certain extent. But it should have been Billy brought to LowCal Live. I would say Becky because Becky has the talent. She can actually carry a flowing conversation. But her and Keem just butt heads way too much. It would have never worked. But then you got Roxy, who has to insert herself into a sit. You know what I would have done had I been a host of another show and this was popping off with Wonder Woman? I'd have kept my fucking mouth shut. That's what I would have done. But Roxy, who's been crying for weeks because Becky and Tina was making light of Roxy's husband's situation. You know, Roxy, the known liar. You know, Roxy, the one you can't believe anything she says. She used to be Savage's co host. You know, Roxy, the one that went to Savage, Roxy's sister, who was in Savage's chat, begging Savage to get Roxy away from these people. She wants to leave, but she's under an NDA. Okay, nothing in that NDA says you can't leave. Roxy going to Savage saying, you know, let's me and you team up. Fuck the LCU, blah, blah, blah. But when Savage said, nah, man, go away. I don't need you. I don't need you. Go. Scoot along. Then Roxy came crawling back. Her husband's in the hospital. He's got diverticulitis. You know, Keem was allowed to make content out of it. Keem online, Roxy had no problem with Keem making content out of it. So Becky and Tina come off with some off the wall shit about it. They apologize. Roxy accepts the apology and then turns around and flips on them again. Roxy says, I don't ever want to work with Mike again. Roxy, you kind of do, because yesterday proved that you have zero talent without Mike or a co-host to lead you around by your nose. 2 hours of absolutely nothing. Queens made more views in an 11-minute stream than Milkers made in 2 hours. Because Roxy doesn't have it unless she has. Now, her and Savage, they did have a good rapport, but their rapport was Savage telling Roxy to shut the fuck up. She's a whore constantly. And Roxy screaming, you shut up. I'm trying to talk. Or Roxy, dump something on your head or go outside and run around the block or do jumping jacks. That was the rapport. That's what Savage and Roxy had in common. I don't blame If I was Savage, I'd never show my face around Keemstar's universe ever again. Ever. And if Savage never comes back, I don't blame her. Again, I don't have to be a Savage fan to see what was done to her was wrong. But it's okay for everybody to catch strays off of their whatever situation they're having, unless it involves Keemstar or Brantley. Then it's a no-go. We can make fun and make light and make content out of anything and everybody, unless it's Keemstar and Brantley. Then you can't. The way they spoke to Wonder Woman, do you think Becky and Tina could run and have their own shows? Like, yeah, I do. I do. I don't think they will. Becky can't trust Tina. Becky can't trust Tina. Tina encouraged Becky to drink last night, even said she would take the fall for it, and then ran and told on her, just like she's done so many times. Becky can't trust Tina. It's a LowCal show. Was Becky looping last night, drunker than shit, crying about her friend that died in 9/11 or at war or wherever? Yeah, she was. But the best bet would have been to just let her finish her fucking story. Quit interrupting her. Let her tell her drunken story. But no, Roxy and Tina, because Roxy's so involved in watching the chat, and somebody wrote, "You've lost 1,000 viewers," so Roxy has to start screaming. Tina has to run to Mike. Before Mike can even get there, Rastoff's done jumped in, shut their stream down, redirected all their people to a show that cannot get a crowd, does not get a crowd. It's a new show. I'll give them that. But the two people on it are boring as fuck, and that's Beans and Pup Cup, or Pup Star, or Pup, or whatever her name is. Because Rastoff wants nothing more than to see Queens fail. They started talking about Savage last night. Tina, Keemstar, Savage over there going live talking about the universe. I thought we weren't supposed to do that. Tina, you do realize that Keemstar has no control at this point on what Savage talks about, because she's not an employee of his anymore. What do you think Keemstar is going to do because Savage goes live and talks about the LowCal universe? All Savage has to do is stay within that NDA, and she can say whatever she wants to. She's a free agent now. Makes you wonder if these people made it past 7th grade. The majority of them. But the really only true LowCal is Becky Boop. And because her and Keem have this love-hate relationship, people can't stand it. Because every time she screws up, fire Becky, fire Becky, fire Becky, fire Becky. You should fire Becky. You should fire Becky. Keem, she must have something on you. You should fire Becky. Keem ain't stupid. If Keem ain't gonna fire Becky. Push comes to shove, Becky is gonna have to quit. And Becky's dug her heels in and said, I ain't quitting. You're gonna have to fire me. So that thumbnail you see over there, Becky quit, I ain't buying it. Becky will be over on Milkers today with Roxy. I almost guarantee that. Savage has a live scheduled, and she can do that. She can do that until she crosses the line, and Keemstar has fuck you money. So until Savage crosses the line and Keemstar takes it legal, Savage can talk about whatever she wants to talk about. She's not under Keemstar anymore. And again, I'm not defending Savage because I can't stand the bitch. But she was done wrong. And the people who played the biggest part of her being done wrong had zero talent. Xylee. All Xylee wants to do is to attack everybody that's not her and Billy, and not Keem, and not Rastoff, and not Boogie. She wants to be able to say whatever she wants about everybody in the universe except for herself and her partner. What she's doing is somebody said Xylee bullies Billy. No, she doesn't. Billy can't be bullied. Good. Let Tina try to make it on her own. I said a week ago, and I screenshotted my comment, it would be better off for it to be either Becky and Roxy or Becky alone and Roxy and Tina. Tina cannot be trusted. How many times has Tina run over to the asylum, ran her mouth about the LCU, and she gets a pass? Nobody says a fucking word to Tina. They all sweep for Tina. Why? Because Tina comes with Mike's viewers from AGP, which is 3 million fucking viewers. The people that get swept for in that community, Becky never gets swept for. If she says anything stupid, it goes fucking viral. Why? Because Keem takes it and puts it on drama alert, and then everybody thinks it's okay to jump on it. Just like the whole Becky's a racist thing. Becky might not have said what she said, probably wasn't politically correct, but it was no worse than what the black woman said. Or wait, let's have Sweet Tea, who says she wants a slave. Sweep, 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 because it's Sweet Tea. And you don't even want to get me started on that little girl. Literally said she would, because she had all her teeth pulled, literally said she would give Keem a gum job. And it was just so funny. So that little girl is so infatuated with Keemstar that she's being led to believe that she has some sort of talent she does not have. Becky is the fog eye. Yes, Sweet Tea said that. Do I think she knew it was? Oh, and then one girl, Pigtails, who has left, called somebody a honky, and Keem came in and said, no, 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 no. We can't use words like honky. But Tina can clearly say the N word at fat camp, and it gets swept. She said ninja. No, bitches, she didn't. And even Savage swept that one. Savage swept that one. Savage should have called that out. That would have been content, and it would have been true to form. But Savage swept it. I don't know. She just had bad teeth. She's really young. It's really kind of sad. I think she comes from a very poor area and has never really had dental care. And, Keem's telling her she needs to get implants. And this girl she can't even get her teeth for 6 to 9 months waiting on her Medicaid to pay for it. It's just like Eric. Okay. There's something wrong with Eric. I think that's pretty clear. I don't think it takes a genius to figure out that Eric's a little slow. he suffers from, some conditions. Good Lord. The way that Buff, when it aired the other day, made that, and I'm gonna call him a kid because I'm old, made that kid cry. Made that kid cry. Keem razzes Eric a lot, but Eric's just, Keem collects people. That's what he does. He collects people, just like antique cars or something. Yeah, nobody batted an eye. But instead of these people being pulled to the Keem, stop putting them on camera. They're not your play toys. They're human beings. They don't have the talent. You know they don't have the talent. And you just want to sit back and laugh at them. And that's fine when it comes to somebody who's used to the criticism, who's used to being laughed at. That's what LowCals are about. These are not LowCals. These are starstruck young people who want nothing more. This kid, this toothless wonder, God lover, Sweet Tea, honestly thought she was trying out for a position on LowCal Live to sit next to Keemstar and Boogie. And she thought she got it. She literally thought she got it. So now when she's pushed from show to show to show to show, she thinks she's somebody. And she is somebody. She's a human being with feelings. I can't stand, I know a lot of it is just scripted, it's bullshit, and that's what makes it entertaining, is just bullshit. That's what makes it fascinating. But the whole just, you know, taking certain people and and convincing them they're something that they're not and that they're never going to be. This kid has told you, Keemstar, she is starstruck with you. Right. Oh, if you defend anybody, you're a stan. You're a stan. I'm a Becky stan, according to all them. No, I'm not a Becky stan because I know when Becky screws up, I click out. I don't watch it. But what I also know is all the sweeping that gets done for others that show their ass. You want to tell a woman how she should feel about an uncomfortable situation? Should it have been brought up on a live stream? Absolutely not. Should all these motherfuckers have lined up to tell Wonder Woman how she should have felt about it? Keemstar even going so far as to say, well, when Wonder Woman was drunk, we all took care of her. She should have taken care of the drunken girl, which turns out to be Brantley's friend, which I think everybody knew, anyways. But, oh, yeah. Okay. So someone makes me feel uncomfortable, and I'm supposed to stop and say, okay, you're making me feel really uncomfortable right now, but I'm going to take you and put you to bed because you're drunk. Is that how it's supposed to work? And then he says it. I repeat it in chat, and I've got 30 people tell me he didn't just say that. I'm not the one, people. I'm not the one. I'm not stupid. I'm not the one to tell what I just heard. King didn't say that. You misunderstood. No, rewind, motherfucker. No, it didn't make sense. she's telling you she was put in an uncomfortable situation. She never said SA or sexual harassment or anything like that. Those words never left her mouth. She said uncomfortable. Xylee throws a tag on it. Everybody starts running with it. And lo and behold, who does it come back on? Wonder Woman. Your feelings aren't valid. And you should have helped the girl that made you feel uncomfortable. That was the end of that. And what's Wonder Woman do? She goes on lives and apologizes. I'm sorry that girl made me feel uncomfortable, and I spoke up about it. I'm sorry. I should have never said the word. Shut the fuck up. See, that's why I couldn't last over there. You can reprimand me for talking about it on a live. What you're not going to do is tell me I didn't feel uncomfortable. And let's face it, after everything that's come out about Fat Camp, there was a lot of crazy nakedness, dirty. But you know what? They're all adults and nobody cares as long as no one was actually harassed or assaulted. Who cares? You know, Keem said, well, Roxy said I was dancing with Brantley. Who cares? It's your make-believe fiance. When I say make-believe, it's because Keem refuses to get legally married. He'll do it in the eyes of God. He won't do it in the eyes of the law. Okay, Keem, we got you. In modern terms, that's called, what do you call it when you sign a... Basically, Keem's not going to marry Brantley legally. He's only going to do it in the eyes of God. Because, well, we know why. They can say because the law doesn't, yes, a prenuptial, yes. But instead of saying, me and Brantley are going to get married, and of course I'm going to have a prenup because that's what a smart businessman does, he says we're going to get married in the eyes of God, but not in the eyes of the law. And Brantley goes along with it. So whatever, that's their business. And now, mark my words, the new arc will be Becky has to go to AA meetings. Becky has to attend rehab. And the best part will be Keema want her to film it for content. Because I don't know if you all remember when Keem was live about wings and they were trying to convince him to see a therapist over his anger issues. And Brantley came on the live and said, yeah, he said he'll do anger management, but he won't film it. Maybe that's because you shouldn't film a fucking therapy session. So because Wings wouldn't film his therapy, well, Wings ain't coming back because he won't give us the content of a private therapy session. I don't think I've ever been so mad as to watch what they did with that whole situation with Wings and sit and made $20,000-$30,000 off of, we're really concerned about Kelly. We're really concerned about Kelly. Okay, let's see here. So you're concerned, they're on their way home, and you're concerned about Kelly while you're sitting here talking about the man that you're claiming abused her. No idea if he's really hurting her or not at the moment. So let's keep antagonizing him while we sit here and say, we're really concerned about Kelly. Get the fuck out of here. I believe Mike, Tina, Becky, and Roxy would be good to move on with Mike too. I do. I guarantee it. And I know that there's some loyalty to Keemstar, and there should be. You know, Keemstar gave these people, not Mike, he didn't give Mike a start. He didn't give Tina a start, but he gave Becky a start and he gave Roxy a start. So there really should be some loyalty to Keemstar. But the things that I've made them, not I've made them, the things I've watched them make content out of, it's just gross, man. It's just gross. You have people, Keem, that has real talent. You yourself have real talent. But to make content out of a woman's home, a single woman's home, which still she gets razzed about in every chat. Clean your house, clean your house, clean your house. With hoarding comes mental health issues. So you've made content out of domestic violence. You've made content out of a drunken company party where people got down and dirty. You've made content out of someone's feeling uncomfortable at a particular situation at the party. You've made content out of someone being called a racist who said nothing racist. And the bad thing about it is Keem owns Drama Alert. And when he puts something on Drama Alert, it goes viral. Not every post he makes. So, you know, it it's fascinating. It's like its whole little world over there. And people that of normal intelligence can actually pick out who's talented, and the most talented get shit on the most. Do I think Becky needs to stop saying she is the show, she is the content? Yeah, she should probably stop saying that. The fact of the matter is, she is. Do you need to keep repeating it? No. Because Becky, if you're really entertaining, you don't have to tell the world you're entertaining. That's what Roxy does. Roxy has to get up on every single panel she's on and convince the world that she's entertaining. If you have to do that, you're probably not that entertaining. If you have to convince me by spending an hour or so of your show telling me how entertaining you are, you're probably not that entertaining. You know, like I said, I spent many a years in the entertainment business, and I had to, stand in front of these people for 8 hours a day while I'm taking their money, entertaining them, and making them feel okay handing their money over to me. And yeah, I had to turn it on and turn it off. By the time I walked out of those doors at the end of the day or off that ship, I didn't feel like being entertaining anymore. I didn't feel like it. Those were 8 and 10 hour shifts, sometimes 12. These are 2 hours a day. If you're not comfortable in front of a microphone, if you're not able to carry a full conversation, if you can't laugh at yourself instead of constantly laughing at others, you're not entertaining. Beans' breakup. Should that have been discussed on a live stream? Absolutely fucking not. Could I see people in the background saying, Beans, you should talk about this. You should talk about this. Absolutely. But as soon as she announces her and Grim broke up, the first thing Keem and them do, say, Grim and Nightmare are gay. Beans and Grim broke up. We could tell they didn't have a strong relationship. We could pick up on this. Of course, Boogie has to pull Desi in and say, I wanted that bouquet. Beans knocked me out of the way. I wanted Glammy's bouquet. It's not fair. Desi, I know you're young, but you're not 12 anymore. Stop it. But as soon as the breakup started, what started? Grim and Nightmare are gay. Why go there? Why go there? Why put that on two men? So you know what I did? I went and said, thank you for hiring your first trans person. Welcome, steak. I mean, if we can just assume Grim and Nightmare are gay because Grim and Beans broke up. Keep in mind, Nightmare lives clear across the world and has a woman, according to him. If we can just assume that because him and Beans broke up, or Grim and Beans broke up, we can just assume that Steak is is trans. Because first time I saw him, he's sitting in front of the camera putting on makeup, trying to be Becky. Right? Of course, what I say won't go viral and nobody will pick up on it and nobody will run with it. But if Keemstar says it, everybody will pick up on it. It will go viral and it becomes a thing. And that's why I think Keemstar needs to watch what he says sometimes. Because people worship that man. Do they owe Keemstar some sort of loyalty? They do. Keemstar, by the same token, you need to have all of your hosts back, not just a handful. And Keem, you lead the brigade. You lead the brigade on rumors getting started. And you're perfectly okay with them. You're perfectly content with them until they involve you or Brantley. And then they're not funny anymore. They're funny when they're about Grim and Beans and Nightmare and Becky, but they're not funny when it involves you, King, and Brantley. So maybe you should learn to laugh at yourselves a little bit. When that guy came up on that panel over at Jaffe's, you weren't mad until he said something about Brantley's vagina and your small dick. That's when you got mad. He could have stood up there and he could have said anything and gotten away with it. Yeah, do I think it's stupid that Jaffe would allow just any total stranger? It's just like Roxy. She went live on StreamYard, swore she didn't know she couldn't go live when I'm not even a part of their universe and I know that's against the rules. Turns around and swears, but Keem, I didn't do anything with the LCU. Roxy, you showed a video of the owner of the LCU. I don't know. I don't look in on Madhouse was never my cup of tea. As a matter of fact, I think I misjudged David Jaffe right from the get-go because when he first came in, he came in with that Tina's period blood and all that. And I said, I actually got a whole part of a show dedicated to me, is what people were coming to me and telling me. I didn't hear it. I didn't listen to it. But I said, man, you're creepy, dude. Do I still think he's a little creepy? Yeah, but I think he's a very intelligent man and he has enough money that he would not bow down to Keemstar. And that's what happens when you have people that have fuck you money. Just like Mike Green. Mike doesn't have to bow down to Keemstar. Mike's going to have a roof over his head and food in his belly, and his bills are going to be paid without Keemstar. These other ones are under Keem's thumb. But I do think I misjudged David Jaffe. I mean, I did think that host skit was a little creepy, but I also don't think Jaffe knew exactly where he fit in at when he first came over. He was seeing a lot of craziness, so he decided to come in a little crazy. I totally misjudged the man. A lot of people like his content. It's called, well, I mean, if you just type in the search bar, David Jaffe, he kept the Madhouse name. He just dropped the LowCal. Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. So if you like weird, I mean, he talks about aliens. He talks about sexual parts. He talks about, ghosts. He talks about current news events. I mean, if you like the way he presents things, he's a very intelligent man. And when I called him creepy, I should have told him that. You're very intelligent, though. But then somebody says, did you hear what David Jaffe said about you on his show last night? This was when he was still with the LCU. Said, you had a whole segment of his show. I was like, okay, so David Jaffe calls me out. I'm nothing but a viewer and a troll. Xylee strikes my little bitty channel for nothing more than calling her fake. Y'all, what is wrong with y'all? Leave me alone. I'm just, a little over 4,000 people over here. Stop that. I actually like your universe, Keem. I just don't like when certain topics are being used. All you hear is Becky and Tina scammed. They said they'd do a 12-hour stream this weekend and they didn't. Well, let's see. You raised how many $1,000s for a tattoo that Rastov still hasn't gotten? You raised how many $1,000s for Rastov to do a weigh-in on your channel, and he still hadn't even gotten out and gotten the fucking scale. Want to talk about scamming? So there's my weekly update on the LowCal universe. If you want to watch it, I will tell you that it is addicting. I will give them that. Just type in LowCal Live and it'll take you to all the different shows. If you go under their or on their community post or something, you're going to find that most of the shows are not worth watching. They're just not. You got Cafe, boring as fuck. You got, I think Nerds is doing a little bit better, but I personally can't handle Buff Weeb. I know everybody doesn't like Zay Zooted. Sorry, I got a call. But I appreciate y'all coming in. If you go over there, you're probably going to become addicted to it. Don't blame me. But if you do have to seek therapy because of your LowCal universe addiction, Keem is probably going to want you to film it for content. So, y'all have a great day. And I'll see you guys around the tube soon. Bye, guys.